I've got a great grungy gel print to show you how to make this week. It's all created in one pull, and I'll show you how to do it. It's tons of fun. Welcome to my studio. I'm Elizabeth St. Hilaire, and this is Tutorial Tidbits. This week I'm going to show you how to make a multi-layer gel print on the gel plate in just one pull. So it's a great grungy print with a wonderful color combination, and I'm going to show you how to do it step by step. So today I want to teach you how to make a multi-layer print in one pull. I mean, I'm all about layering with many stencils and many effects and bringing the paper another pass over the gel plate to create complex prints. But today I'm going to show you how to do it sort of in less layers. And I'm going to be using this stencil that is from my Art Nouveau collection, and it is called Stained Glass Window. And what I am going to be the effect I'm going to be working with on this is that it has a lot of big opening spaces for me to add pattern with this rocks and roll foam stamp design of mine. So I'm going to add foam stamp pattern in these large open areas of this stencil. And I'm going to be working with the ghost print from it. So I'm going to start with teal, and then I'm going to go to Payne's Gray, and then I'm going to go to copper. So I think this is going to be a really nice color combination. And I am going to make a grungy print. I am going to take this ghost print once it's done, and I'm going to sort of scratch it up and kind of make it look a little less pristine. So let's get started. So I'm going to be working on my 9x12 gel plate, and I'm also going to be working with my Yasutomo sketch rice paper. That's also a 9x12 sheet. I really like this paper for collage because it glues down perfectly flat because it's highly absorbent. So it absorbs the glue into itself and really glues down flat. It has a smooth surface and it has a rough surface on the back. The smooth surface has sizing on it, and it's that surface that goes into the plate. The gel plate likes a smooth paper because it makes a really good contact, and then you get a really nice pristine print. You're going to see when you press the smooth paper onto the gel plate, there's a little resistance when you pull it up. When you press the rough side, you get that a little less because the roughness makes less of a contact with the plate. Now, does this matter? No. If you print on one side or the other, technically it doesn't matter. So you could experiment with both, but I find that the smooth side makes the best print. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is put out the teal paint. And I'm going to be more liberal with this paint than I normally would be because I want to have a lot of it left behind on the plate as the ghost print. And a certain amount of this is going to stick to the back of the stencil. So I want to go more liberal with my paint coverage to account for that. It's going to stick to the back of the stencil. So I'm going to put the stencil, the 9x12 stencil, onto the plate. And I'm just going to use a piece of tissue paper here to pull out the paint from the negative spaces. I'm using the tissue because it gets down into the spaces real quickly and easily and completely, and should pull out a lot of that teal so I can get a good ghost print. So I've got that out, and then I'm lifting, and I have the ghost print of the stained glass window. So this I need to let dry completely. And in order to grunge it up, I'm just going to use my thumbnail, and I don't have long nails. I'm just going to use the thumbnail to sort of scrape through some of this pattern. It's already a little scraped up or a little eviscerated because that paint stuck to the back of the stencil. But I'm going to mark it up just a little bit more with my fingernail so I can kind of get it to be a little more rough and a little more grungy. So I'm just going to come in here, and it's pretty dry, but it's still a little bit wet. And I'm just scratching into the pattern. You can also use a stylus tool to do this. You could use the end of a paintbrush. You could use a bamboo skewer. There's a lot of different things you can use to sort of scrape through the paint. I'm just using my thumbnail, and I don't want to take too much of it off. I just want to sort of interrupt the design a little bit, some of these swirly lines a little bit, so it has a bit more of a grungy feel to it. So again, I don't want to take off tons of paint, but I'm just trying to give it sort of a bit more of a grungy look than the stained glass window stencil does on its own. And this just gives me more of a hand done kind of organic effect as well. But I love the way that this disperses the teal in a kind of organic and unique pattern on the plate. So here I'm just kind of, I don't want to do too much. So I've scraped through and kind of made some marks in that pattern. And you can do as much or as little as you want, but I don't want to totally be able to see through and lose the teal altogether. Okay. So now the next thing is that I am going to put the Payne's Gray over this, and then I'm going to pull out a pattern in the Payne's Gray with this foam stamp. So in order to do that, I'm going to have a clean sheet of paper off to the side so that I can get the paint off of the surface of the stamp, because it will pull more paint off the plate if the surface is clean. So you're just going to see me stamping it over here to clean the surface. So we're good with that now. And I'm going to put out the Payne's Gray, and that's going to go in a nice layer over the top. I need to make sure I don't have any more teal in my brayer. I am taking advantage of the heat out here today. It's helping everything to dry faster. If you're in a different climate, you need to wait for things to dry. Okay, so now I've got the Payne's Gray, and I'm going to come in with the foam stamp and pull paint out of the Payne's Gray and just keep transferring to the clean paper. So I'm going to change my angle. I'm going to overlap my stamping. I'm going to rotate so I get an organic effect here. And this stencil is interlocking links, so it's sort of like a chain pattern. So when you put it over itself, it works really nicely together, creating some interconnected pattern. Whoops. So again, you want to make sure that you clean it, and it will in some cases pull all the paint off as the paint gets a bit drier. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is a great design for overlapping. I'm going to take my damp microfiber towel now and get the paint off the surface of the stamp, because it won't work if it gets all crusted up with acrylic, and the acrylic is drying really fast. So you want to just wipe that off, or throw it into a basin of soapy water face down until you can clean it so it stays wet. Or another thing I do sometimes is sit it in a pile of wet paper towels face down so it stays wet until you can clean it. But if you've got a damp towel on hand, there you go. Okay. So, and plus wiping that gives this layer another opportunity to dry. So I've got my sheet for my print, and I'm going to pull the print with copper so that I can get bits of copper showing through in the stamp patterns and also in random areas. You can never really control this. That's why it's called a monoprint. I can make a print that I absolutely love, follow exactly the same steps, and never recreate it exactly, because it is a one-time thing, a monoprint. So it'll be close. Whoa, that was way too much paint. That comes squirting out. Shoot. All right, we'll put that on here. This is why you need to always put the lids on your fluid acrylics, because they get a plug of paint in them, and then it doesn't want to come out. And then the more you squeeze it, it comes out like crazy. Okay, so let's roll this. All right. All right, I think that's good. All right, so nice layer. Then I'm going to put the smooth side into the paint. Now, in addition to the heat out here in my garage studio, we also have the benefit of the viscosity of the fluid acrylics. If you are using tube paints or what we call heavy body paint to create this effect, you're going to need to allow for a longer drying time. The fluid acrylics are really thin, and so the application with the brayer is thin, and they're thin, and they dry really quickly. As a matter of fact, when you pull this print, the surface of it will be dry immediately because this paper is highly absorbent, so it soaks in the moisture from the paint and gives you a print that is immediately dry. So you have to allow enough time for the copper paint to moisturize down through the Payne's gray and down through the teal so that the plate will release everything that's on it with that moisture. So we can pull a corner and see, and I can see that there's still copper on the plate. So let's flip it over and see. We get a sneak peek. Oh, look at that, of what we're going to get. Now, it doesn't always look exactly like the bottom of the plate, but you can see that the foam stamp pulled the Payne's gray off of the plate. You can see that my scratching with my fingernails scratched up that stained glass window pattern, so it's more organic. And then the copper shows through the openings in the Payne's gray. So here we have a really nice multi-layer print coming off the plate in one pull. So, give it another sneak peek here. I think there's a little copper left, but we could pull it. But I think if you give it more time, you'll get more of the copper coming off. I don't have my Baron out here with me, which is what I usually use to rub on the paper. The Baron is a tool that is flat on the bottom with a handle so you can push down from your shoulders and rub. And since I'm in the garage, I don't have it with me. But I love that tool. All right. We could do another sneak peek from another corner here. That's better. The copper is just kind of hanging around the edges. I think we're going to be all right for the purpose of demonstrating. We're going to get a good print here. So, yeah, there's not much left, just around the edges, which is where you typically, when you rub with your hands, we typically kind of stay in the middle and we don't get all out the edges. That's why that Baron tool is great, because it allows you to sort of hang off the edges. And I like it much better than holding this because with the handle, it's more ergonomic. Okay, so we're going to pull this print. And wow, look at how beautiful this is. So there you see we've got the multi-layers, we've got the grunginess in the stencil from scratching through it and breaking it up. And then we've got that beautiful pattern that the foam stamp removed into the Payne's gray, allowing the copper to show through. So this is a beautiful one pull kind of grungy organic print. I hope you're inspired. Thanks for being here with me this week. I hope that you are inspired, and I look forward to seeing you right back here next Friday.